In 1888, the streets of London's East End became the hunting ground for the most infamous serial killer in history. 5 women, possibly more, were brutally murdered, mutilated, and left in public for anyone to find. Hundreds of suspects have been named. None were ever convicted. This is the case of Jack the Ripper. The killings took place in Whitechapel, a district plagued by poverty and crime, where many women had no choice but to turn to prostitution, simply to survive. All 5 officially recognized victims, known as the Canonical Five, worked the streets of Whitechapel. The case sparked unprecedented public fascination, partly because rising literacy rates meant more people than ever were reading newspaper coverage of every gruesome detail. Public outrage over the failure to catch the killer eventually forced both the police commissioner and the Home Secretary to resign. The first victim, Mary Ann Nichols, was discovered on August 31, 1888, in Bucks Row. Her throat had been slashed and her body disemboweled. She had been dead only 30 minutes when found, meaning the killer was likely still nearby. Just over a week later, on September 8th, the second victim, Annie Chapman, was found on Hanbury Street. This time, the killer had removed her uterus, a detail that led police surgeon Dr. George Phillips to theorize the murderer possessed real anatomical knowledge, perhaps even medical training. Later that month, a letter arrived at a London news agency, signed by someone claiming to be the killer. It introduced the world to the name that would echo through history: Jack the Ripper. While many researchers believe this letter was fabricated by a journalist looking to sell papers, the name stuck immediately and permanently. Just days later, on September 30th, 2 murders occurred within the same single night. Elizabeth Stride's throat was cut, but unlike previous victims, there was no further mutilation, suggesting the killer was interrupted mid-attack. Only 45 minutes later, a second victim, Catherine Eddowes, was discovered nearby with severe facial mutilation and both her uterus and a kidney removed. Strangely, after this second murder, the killer doubled back toward the direction of the police search, leading investigators to a torn piece of Eddowes' apron and a chilling anti-Semitic message scrawled in chalk nearby. A postcard soon followed, again claiming to be from the Ripper, accurately describing details of the double murder before that information had been made public. Weeks later, a letter signed, quote, "From hell," arrived containing what was claimed to be half a human kidney, though this was later determined to be a prank carried out by a medical student. The fifth and final officially recognized victim, Mary Kelly, was found on November 9th in her own bed. Her body was so severely mutilated that her landlord later said the scene looked more like, quote, "the work of a devil than of a man." After Kelly's murder, the killings officially stopped. Witness accounts described the suspected killer as a man in his mid-20s to 30s, of average height, with a mustache and dark overcoat. But despite numerous reported sightings, no one was ever definitively identified. Scotland Yard's lead investigator at the time narrowed his personal suspicions down to 3 men. The first, Montague Druitt, was a barrister whose own family reportedly suspected him of being the killer. He disappeared shortly after the final murder and was found dead in the Thames River weeks later. The second, Michael Ostrog, was a Russian doctor with a documented history of violent behavior, though investigators couldn't tie him directly to the crime scenes. The third was Aaron Kosminski, a local resident with a well-known hatred toward sex workers, who spent much of his life institutionalized. In recent years, a researcher claimed to have found DNA evidence linking Kosminski to the murders, using an old shawl supposedly recovered from one of the crime scenes. The discovery initially seemed conclusive. Unfortunately, it was later revealed that the scientific team had made a critical labeling error. The supposedly rare genetic mutation they identified was actually shared by over 99% of people of European descent, meaning the evidence proved essentially nothing. Other theories range from the unconventional to the truly bizarre. Some ripperologists believe the killer may have actually been a woman, theorizing that a midwife would have had the necessary anatomical knowledge, and that blood on her clothing would have raised no suspicion whatsoever. Another theory implicates Prince Albert Victor, grandson of Queen Victoria himself, claiming a syphilis-induced descent into madness led him to commit the murders, with royal officials covering up his involvement entirely. This theory remains widely dismissed due to a complete lack of supporting evidence. A more grounded suspect is Joseph Barnett, who actually lived with the final victim, Mary Kelly, as her partner. Barnett strongly disapproved of Kelly's life as a sex worker and reportedly fought to keep her off the streets. Just 10 days before her murder, the couple had a violent altercation after Kelly brought other sex workers into their home. Shortly after, Barnett moved out. Having lived with Kelly, he would have known her schedule intimately and could have easily entered her home undetected. Crime scene details suggest Kelly was killed peacefully in her sleep, not by a stranger forcing entry, but by someone she trusted enough to let inside. Strikingly, the murder stopped completely after Kelly's death. The most popular suspect among modern researchers is James Maybrick, a wealthy cotton merchant whose death coincided almost exactly with the end of the killings. The case against him centers on a diary allegedly discovered hidden beneath the floorboards of his estate, supposedly written by the Ripper himself and signed with Maybrick's own name. A pocket watch was later found, containing scratched initials matching all 5 victims, alongside the phrase, quote, "I am Jack." However, the diary's origins remain deeply suspicious. The man who first brought it forward eventually admitted to fabricating it entirely, only to later recant that confession, claiming he lied due to personal struggles in his life. For over a century, the identity of Jack the Ripper has remained one of history's most enduring mysteries. Advances in forensic science have failed to provide definitive answers, and the true killer's identity may simply have been lost to time. Was it a doctor with anatomical knowledge, a grieving lover pushed to violence, or someone whose name has never even been considered? What do you think happened? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you want more cases like this, subscribe to Mystery Minute. We'll be here every week, digging up the truth.